Right now, like I said, I wanted to just remove the co-main event from Texas away from everything else that happened on that card, just to give it its own gravitas, because I just thought, as a fight, it's up there with one of the very best fights that you can talk about in boxing. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor going at it for a second time. The first time was obviously historic in Madison Square Garden, and it was absolutely brilliant. Katie getting a hand raised on that evening, and she got a hand raised again last week in Texas, beating Amanda Serrano over 10 rounds. These two girls are just... wow, I take my hat off every single time I watch them fight, but when they fight each other, their styles just mix so beautifully. And at times, they give us round of the year contenders, fight of the year moments. It must have been awesome to be in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Think about this, right? A women's undisputed title fight. 70,000 people are in the arena cheering these two on. 50 million for their particular fight around the world, simultaneously watching it. Absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely. Just full disclosure, first of all, I had Amanda Serrano winning. I've never seen as bad a cut go on for 4 rounds, although... just to give a little bit of credit, obviously, to Amanda Serrano, but also to the referee and the ringside physician, it wasn't pouring blood. So her main capillary hadn't opened, even though it looked like a pair of lips on her eyebrow, didn't it? It was that big.
It's about one.
Spencer Oliver and myself, who were commentating at the time or doing a vague kind of watch-along, we were screaming, horrendous, get this thing stopped, because it was frightening how open it was. Certainly by the 6th round, I thought Serrano was extraordinary on the night, but Katie has the devil in her herself. I know she's a very religious person. I shouldn't really say that about her, but boy, she's got the devil when she fights. And when she saw that cut open in the 5th round, she really came back in the fight. Very, very close. The judges all had it 94 with a point deduction for coming in with the head. I think it's the way she fights. She tears in. I don't think she's a deliberately dirty fighter.
No,
but
it's a style.
She isn't by any means necessary kind of warrior when she's involved in there. Like you say, the projection for women's boxing, you couldn't get 2 better styles.
Brilliant.
And a matchup to project the very elite women's level. They're both nailed down Hall of Famers. They are both beautiful people to be around in a fight week. They haven't got a bad word to say about each other. And Amanda even retracted the comments within hours that Katie had deliberately used her head. I've spoken, without going on too much, because I can hear my excitement about it. I've heard that they are working on a trilogy, by the way. Spoke to Katie's manager, Brian Peters, this week, and they are talking about doing a trilogy at some point, and it's merited as well. And it'll probably be on the undercard of Jake Paul's next fight.
Stop it. Listen, I've got a few thoughts on that, but before we get those thoughts, let's hear from Katie herself, right? Because in the aftermath of a victory over Amanda Serrano last weekend, Gareth, who was in the stadium, caught up with her.
Many congratulations, Katie. Wow, that was a war. How do you keep doing this?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I just I had to dig deep there again tonight, but I'm so happy to get another win and another amazing night live on Netflix, another monumental moment, so I'm just so happy.
You seem to have a difficult early part of the fight. Her eye got cut, you got a point deducted. There was so much drama in there. You were clearly targeting the eye when it was cut. It looked like you red rag to a bull. But my word, how do you assess the fight when you look back on it?
Well, it's very fresh right now, but I have to obviously look back and look at the video, but I feel like I landed the bigger shots at the second half of the fight. I feel like my inside work was very good tonight. That's what won me the fight in the end. It just took a lot of heart and grit in there tonight, and I got the job done again.
You did. You got a unanimous decision. You got a better result than last time. You said in the week you didn't want to go to the judges. As it was being read out, did you feel it was yours?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how the fight was going to go, but then it's such a close fight. But all the judges were in agreement, and I was happy with that.
Can you do it again with her for 10 more rounds? Croke Park, maybe? You've come over here twice.
Yeah.
How about you? I mean, I've been crying for Croke Park for years. Yeah. Could you do that?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've beat her twice now, so is there any need for a trilogy? But if she wants a third fight, I can absolutely give it to her again.
Is it time to stop, or is that fire still burning in you?
I'm going to have to make that decision obviously in the next few days or so, but I love my sport, I love my boxing, and tonight was a great night, but I do feel like I have even maybe 1 or 2 more fights in me.
And the sport absolutely loves her because every single time she turns up and puts on a show. She's absolutely in the conversation for the greatest fighter of all time. The accolades speak for themselves, both amateur and professional. And these 2 fights that she's had so far with Amanda Serrano have been absolutely captivating. I do feel a little bit for Amanda Serrano because she's given 20 rounds with Katie Taylor and she's come up on the wrong side of 2 decisions. I actually had the first fight scored a draw, and I scored this fight 95-94 in favour of Amanda Serrano.
I don't disagree with you.
I thought that the point off swayed it in her favour, but I do not. I'm not going to argue and rage on about Katie getting a hand raised because there's a couple of rounds in there that are very, very tight. There's some clean work in there from Katie, and if you've got it 6-4 in her favour,
exactly,
no problem
exactly.
whatsoever.
You can easily score it 5-5, 6-4 one way or 6-4 the other,
so.
and the judges scored it 6-4 with a point deduction, which makes it 95-94 to Katie. But all 3 had the same result.
I've no problem with it.
And then she got the result away from home. What I thought was fascinating, Ed, was that she still wants 2 more fights.
Right.
And so maybe that's a Cameron trilogy.
Right. I'll tell you what should happen. Are you ready?
Go on.
Right. So Katie Taylor's going in the Hall of Fame. No question about that, right? But what I think that she could do now is really pass the torch on to the next generation. Given the style and the way that the fights have played out, and okay, she's 2-0. We know that she's 2-0. But because of the way that the fights played out, I honestly think that there is worth in a 3rd fight with Amanda Serrano. The styles just work perfectly. And I also think that your suggestion of Croke Park, that's the fight. If you can get her to Croke Park, absolutely make that happen. She's gone to MSG, she's gone to Texas. Let's bring her back to Croke Park and make that happen. You know where I'm going with this. Yep. I genuinely believe that they could do 10, I'll say 10, rather than go the full hog, 10 3-minute rounds. I think they could really push it to 3-minute rounds because...
She won't do it.
I'm not saying that she will, but what I'm saying is Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor are the best of the best. There's only a handful of fighters that I would make this argument for. I put Clarissa Shields into this. You mentioned Chantel Cameron. Fighters like that, I would make that argument because I don't think the talent pool is deep enough for the other girls, and this is no disrespect to them, to be able to do what I'm asking them to do. But I think if we want parity, if we want to push this thing even further forward, we've got to get to a situation where female fighters are fighting 3-minute rounds. The reason why I bang on about this so much is because I watch a lot of MMA, and maybe I'm a little bit discombobulated with it. The females fight 5-minute rounds just like the blokes. And when it comes to championship fights, they fight 5 rounds like the blokes do.
Well, why don't we make MMA 3-minute rounds then?
What do you mean? Why would you bring it down? Because you have 3 rounds. So you have 15 minutes, don't you?
Why not have 5 3s in MMA?
Well, you could mix it up if you wanted to.
I think that would be good as well.
Well, I'm all right with the MMA rule set at the moment, so we'll just leave that as it is.
I'm just playing devil's
advocate. I know
advocate.
you are. But regarding the elite female fighters, and these 2 are, what I don't want, when Katie retires, right, what I don't want in 5 years, 10 years' time, when people are looking back at the Katie Taylor story, I don't want them to say, yeah, but she didn't do 3-minute rounds, did she? But I don't want them to do that. I would love her to say, right, go on then, we'll do a 3-minute and we'll do it against Amanda Serrano.
But be physically fair here, because what you're asking them to do is to go from 20 minutes to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's go 8 3s in my view.
Fine.
Rather than
just do the 3 minutes.
Rather than 10 3s.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you, because I think, you know, in terms of...
I also think 2-minute rounds are very difficult to score, mate.
Oh,
they're very difficult to score.
I agree with that, and that's why we have so many close fights. And the 2 Chantel Cameron fights with Katie have been very close, as were the Delphine Pursoon fights
8 threes. I'll take 8 threes.
Yeah, no, because I think to get them to another 10 minutes is big. But I'm with my crystal ball and quite a lot of knowledge in the background around what's happening with Katie and Amanda from being there and being around the teams and knowing them. The Croke Park fight, we had Alicia Baumgardner, who was in one of the fight hotels, who was out there for the event. I had her on talkSPORT with us on Saturday night, because this was a Friday night event. And Alicia is a good opponent for Katie as well, by the way. I think stylistically, obviously she's a super featherweight champion, but I think the Amanda Serrano trilogy probably won't be at Croke Park, because they'll want to go under the umbrella of most valuable promotion. So I think that trilogy is likely on the next Jake Paul fight. But if there is, and if he is fighting in the summer and Katie wants to fight before, I think that's the time to do someone else, be
Chantel.
it
Well, she's one-on-one with Chantel.
or a Jonas or whoever it is. But for some reason, and maybe it's because of the physicality of Chantel Cameron, they don't seem as keen on that fight, even though in the second fight I thought she was absolutely brilliant. She makes adjustments so well.
Listen, she's one of the very, very best to have ever laced.
I think she's the greatest.
I think it's between her and Clarissa.
When you look at the talent pool that she's had to fight,
Yeah, that's fair.
as opposed
she's
to
beaten
the
better
talent.
level of opponent. You're right.
And I don't want to disrespect Clarissa, because
No.
she is extraordinary. Double Olympic champion,
Yeah.
and all the things she's achieved, all the way up to heavyweight right now as well.
Yeah. I think it's between those two for the greatest female fighter of all time, no doubt about it. But with what you just said about the depth of person that they're beating, listen, we've got to take into consideration Amanda Serrano's a featherweight. I mean, she's jumped up 3 weights there to have that fight. That's ridiculous.
I'm glad you
isn't
said that as well, because this is a woman who's come up 6 weight divisions, and it is extraordinary. I mean, they are just they are the very best of the very best.
This is why I think they can make groundbreaking moves with the 3-minute rounds.
Yeah,
I really do.
Absolutely.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.